Have you ever looked at your reflection and felt a sudden, inexplicable wave of nausea? It's that fleeting sensation that the person staring back isn't quite synchronized with your soul. We trust mirrors because they are supposed to be the only honest witnesses of our existence. But in the world of 7 the glass is not a wall. It is a membrane. And membranes, as any biologist will tell you, are meant to be permeated. It started on a Tuesday, under the clinical, aggressive hum of the fluorescent lights at Velvet and Stone. It's one of those boutiques where the air smells like expensive lilies and judgment. I was there to find a dress for a version of myself I hadn't yet become. The dressing room was a hexagonal cage of mirrors, designed to show you every flaw from every conceivable angle. I took the silk dress, red as a fresh wound, and stepped into the enclosure. The heavy velvet curtain swallowed the sound of the bustling mall outside. Suddenly it was just me and the infinite versions of myself, stretching into a silver abyss. I raised my right hand to adjust the strap on my shoulder. That's when the clockwork of reality skipped a gear. In the mirror to my far left, my reflection didn't move. It stayed there, hand down, eyes fixed on the back of my head with a gaze that felt heavy. A second later, it caught up, snapping its hand to its shoulder in a blurred, unnatural jerk. I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I turned my head slowly to face that specific pane of glass. The reflection followed my movement, but there was a lag, a thick, oily delay in its response. I reached out, my trembling fingers inches away from the cold surface. The reflection reached out too, but its fingers were slightly more elongated, its skin a shade of gray I hadn't noticed before. When our fingertips should have met on the glass, there was no resistance. My hand didn't hit a cold, hard surface. It sank into the mirror as if it were lukewarm mercury. The sensation was sickening, a vibration that traveled up my arm and settled in my teeth. I tried to pull back, but the reflection, the thing, grabbed my wrist. Its grip was like a vice made of frozen plastic. Before I could scream, I was yanked forward, through the silver veil and into the dark. The transition felt like being turned inside out. I fell onto a floor that looked like marble but felt like dry, calcified bone. The air here didn't smell like lilies anymore. It smelled of wet concrete, ancient dust, and something metallic, like old blood. I looked back at the mirror I had just fallen through. Through the glass, I could see the dressing room I had just left. But I was looking at it from the inside out. I saw her. She was standing there, wearing my red dress, smoothing the fabric over her hips. She looked exactly like me, but her smile was too wide, her eyes too bright with a predatory hunger. She picked up my purse, checked her hair one last time, and walked out through the velvet curtain. I pounded on the glass, screaming until my throat felt raw. But there was no sound. In this place, even my voice felt muffled, as if the atmosphere were made of wool. I turned around to face the world I was now trapped in. It was a mall, or at least the skeleton of one. The corridors stretched on forever, illuminated by a flickering, sickly green light. The store signs were written in a language that looked like English, but made my brain ache when I tried to read it. Everything was covered in a layer of fine gray ash. I started to walk, hoping to find an exit, a different mirror, a way back home. The silence was the worst part, until the clicking started. Click, scrape, click. I stopped and looked back over my shoulder. A row of mannequins stood in the center of the hallway. They were faceless, smooth, and draped in tattered rags of high fashion. One of them was slightly closer than I remembered. Its plastic arm was raised, frozen in a gesture of greeting. I quickened my pace, my heels clicking loudly on the hollow floor. Every time I turned a corner, I glanced back. They were always there. They didn't move when I looked at them, but they were closing the gap. Some were missing limbs, others had cracked torsos revealing hollow, dark interiors. I ran into a department store labeled The Reflectionary. The aisles were filled with thousands of mirrors, all of them cracked or clouded. In every single one, I saw the mannequins getting closer. They weren't walking, they were simply appearing in new positions every time I blinked. I realized then that this wasn't just a physical place. It was a graveyard for the identities stolen by the things on the other side. I found the dressing room area, a mirrored maze identical to the one I had entered. I searched frantically for the pain that showed my world. I saw flashes of other lives through the glass. An old man eating soup, a child sleeping, a woman crying in a bathroom. None of them were mine. Then, I saw it. The dressing room at Velvet and Stone. My boyfriend was standing outside the curtain looking at his watch. "Are you almost done, babe?" he asked. The thing that took my place stepped into view. "Just a second, honey," she said, her voice a perfect mimicry of my own. She looked at the mirror, looked directly at me. She winked, her eyes turning into dark, empty voids for a split second. I threw myself against the glass, but it was solid now, cold, unyielding. The mannequins were in the room with me now, their plastic fingers grazing my hair. I am still here, writing this on the back of a discarded receipt. I don't know how much time has passed. In 7am, time doesn't flow. It stagnates. I watch her live my life through the silver screens. I watch her kiss my boyfriend. I watch her hug my mother. She is careful, but sometimes she forgets to blink. Sometimes she stays still for just a second too long. If you are reading this, go to your mirror, touch the glass. If it feels warm, or if your reflection is a fraction of a second too slow, run. Because once you're on this side, you're not the person anymore. You're just the shadow that didn't make it back.